The sky is clearing and the weather will be beautiful for another night of baseball in downtown Minneapolis. We're ready to play ball at Target Field, where the Twins will try to square their series with the Tigers at a win apiece. Mike Pelfrey returns to the mound tonight for the Twins in hopes of building on his last performance. For Detroit, it's Anibal Sanchez, who looks for his second win against the Twins this month. Welcome to Twins Baseball on Fox Sports North. Last night, Detroit resumed its early run as the best road team in baseball. They won their fourth straight against the Twins this season. And tonight, they send Anibal Sanchez to the mound, Jack, who has had tremendous success against the Twins over his last 7 starts.
He feeds off hitters' aggression. I think this guy has another one of those pitchers that has a real feel for what the hitter's trying to do, and he'll try to get you to swing out the zone. He's got all the pitches: fastball, slider, curveball, cutter, changeup. He's got them all, and he'll throw them all at different speeds and in different locations. And like Neil Allen talked about earlier in the show, he's the kind of pitcher that will change eye levels. So what he likes to do is get ahead early and then get you to swing out of the zone. I think the Twins need to look for that first good pitch they can handle and don't get behind.
Coming up, Dick and Bert discuss the challenge ahead for Iron Mike Pelfrey, who waited 610 days between his last 2 wins. A victory against the Tigers would cut that number down to just 6 days tonight.
in a long time. But so that was kind of my thing, the health. You need to be healthy in order, to perform and, live up to your, your own expectations and what you expect out of yourself. And I definitely haven't done that yet.
Mike Pelfrey is healthy, and in his last start, he shut down the best lineup in the American League. He'll hope to do the same tonight against the second best lineup in the American League. Dick Bramer, Burt Blyleven with you from Target Field. The Kansas City Royals do have the best team batting average in the American League. The Tigers right behind them. But let's go back to that start against the Kansas City Royals. Some encouraging signs from Mike Pelfrey.
Well, we already showed you his number, 7 shutout innings and 99 pitches. What I liked about Mike Pelfrey in that outing, 63 of the 99 were quality pitches. They were strikes. He attacked the strike zone. Only a couple walks. He did pick up some strikeouts. Now, Mike Pelfrey has kind of come up with that new pitch, that split finger, and it has been a very consistent pitch for Mike Pelfrey. He's going to show it to the Tigers, I think, here tonight for the first time. He's got to have that pitch, but also trust that fastball. That's 92 to 94.
Twins hope to get off to a better start tonight than they have so far against the Tigers. Maybe the Twins will score the first runs early tonight in Game 2. Into the late innings, but the Twins couldn't get the big hit at the end they needed to make up for an early deficit. I suspect the key for Mike Pelfrey and the Twins, let's not fall behind 4-0 right away and see whether the outcome might be a little different.
Put up some zeros early. Hopefully your team will get you some runs.
The Twins had a winning homestand their first time here at Target Field. They split a 6-game road trip. And now with an 11-game homestand that started last night, that'll be the challenge for the Twins to start getting some traction at home. All right, you've had a winning homestand in the first one. Do it again, and then again, and suddenly one of the things this team has lacked over the last 4 years is confidence. And when you start winning at home, that goes a long way toward building your confidence. No problem with confidence in the Detroit Tigers. Brad Ausmus in his second year. They are very good. They know they're very good. They are hopeful of winning their 5th straight division championship. The Menard batting order for Game 2. Anthony Goes in the leadoff spot. Then Ian Kinsler, Miguel Cabrera, Victor Martinez, J.D. Martinez, Yoenis Cespedes, Alex Avila, Nick Castellanos, and Jose Iglesias.
You know, Tom and Jack were talking about the importance of Mike Pelfrey's start here today. And remember, Ricky Nolasco just went down to a minor league rehab, and he pitched 5 shutout innings down there. He's ready to come off the disabled list. Well, that will mean that there's somebody in that rotation that will have to leave. And Mike Pelfrey doesn't want to be that one, so this start very important. You want to leave a good impression. He left a good impression in his last start against the Royals. He wants to do it here again, making his 4th start of the year.
And the Northland Ford defense for the Twins, a little bit of a different look. Brian Dozier gets the night off. Arcia back and left, Schaefer in center, Hunter in right, Plouffe, Santana, Escobar, and Mauer, the infielders, with Suzuki behind the plate. And Dan Bellino behind the plate. Bruce Dreckman has first base. Tom Hallion has second. Alfonso Marquez has third. Confidence is such a big part of a successful team, a successful athlete. And Mike Pelfrey, the Twins hope, will start to rebuild his confidence.
You know what, Dick? I liked our open when we started with Mike Pelfrey talking about himself, that he's not happy with himself. You know, he hasn't been the same pitcher that he was with the Mets when he won 15 ball games in 2010. There's a couple reasons why. Of course, a couple elbow surgeries, but he feels he's healthy. He feels he wants to contribute, and nobody harder on himself than Mike Pelfrey.
First pitch, fouled away by Anthony Goes.
You know, an athlete that is able to throw a baseball like Mike Pelfrey can and has in the past wants to get back to that promised land, more or less, and he's worked real hard. He had success in his last start, but now let's do it again.
1 strike to Goes, and strike 2. It goes beyond his last start, which was great against the Royals, but in his start before that, 5 innings, just 1 run allowed to the Indians. Yeah, there were a lot of walks, and he had gone off to a great start and then had some difficulty completing 5 innings, but just missing the corner. You add the 2 together, that's 12 innings with just 1 run allowed.
Right, he's trying to establish his fastball early, and one thing that the Tigers did last night against Tommy Malone, they jumped on him for 4 runs in that first inning. When the Twins have been able, here's a little ground ball to Santana. Comes in, makes a nice play, getting the speedy Goes.
A really nice play by Santana, who had to throw on the run to get the out.
The first 3 innings so important because in the 8 wins the Twins have had, the starting staff covering 24 innings has allowed only 6 runs. Now under 11 losses, they've allowed 33 runs. And you can see where the Twins have scored.
1 down, and now Kinsler. It shouldn't, but it has to have an impact on the lineups at bats when you fall behind 2-0, 3-0, and lineup that's struggling to produce runs anyway. Suddenly, you know, guys are white knuckling it up at the plate and trying to do a little bit more than they should.
Jack even mentioned, I mean, David Price last night, he went out there to try to get the first out already with a 4-0 lead. You're not afraid to make a mistake. That's why Mike Pelfrey and the rest of the Twin starters put some zeros on the board early. Stay away from that multi-run inning.
2-0 to Kinsler.
And that's what hurt the Twins last night.
Wrapped to third, backhanded by Plouffe. Sets and fires 2 down. And that will bring up Cabrera with the bases empty.
Pelfrey has worked 17 innings coming into this ballgame. 7 walks, 8 strikeouts. So he has to rely on contact as far as making him hit good pitches.
5 hits allowed to the Royals in 7 innings, and the Royals coming into play today hitting just under 300 as a team. The Tigers right behind them at 290. Down and away, ball 1 to Cabrera. And missing inside.
Pelfrey making his 7th career start against the Tigers. 2 wins, 3 losses in his first 6 starts. This is his first start against the Tigers since September 23rd of 2013. He won that ball game 4-3. And that was besides the one in Kansas City, the one that the last win he had before that one in Kansas City.
Swing and a miss. You know, we talk a lot about the velocity, and Pelfrey now at 93 back-to-back pitches, but beyond that, it looks like it's an easy 93. I mean, he's not a max effort guy on every pitch. It just seems to really jump out of his hand. A little pop up near the line. Cabrera retired. A really good first inning for Mike Pelfrey. fashion, set the Tigers down in order. Menard's batting order for the Twins with Brian Dozier out of the starting lineup. Danny Santana takes over the leadoff spot. Then Torrey Hunter, Joe Mauer, Trevor Plouffe, Eduardo Nunez, Eduardo Escobar, Oswaldo Arcia, Kurt Suzuki, Jordan Schaefer, Kenny Vargas on the bench again tonight to start the ball game.
And Anibal Sanchez, 30 years old, in his 4th season with the Tigers, making his 2nd start this season against the Twins, his 5th overall. He shut out the Twins for 6 2/3 innings in his opening day start in Detroit. Tigers ended up winning that ball game 11-0.
Santana. Couple of hits, 7 at bats against Sanchez. Swing and a miss. Santana with 3 hits in the game last night. He also started a really nifty double play and actually had a flawless game in the field. So all in all, it was a good night last night for Danny Santana, hitting 9th. This one chipped down the line. It's a foul ball, 2 strikes.
Yeah, Brian Dozier not in the lineup. Couple reasons. 1 for 17 against Anibal Sanchez. And also, you know, I think what you mentioned, that you talked to Paul Molitor, and they want Brian to play 155 games in that range if he stays healthy. So he's going to need some time off. He had played in every game.
Called 3rd strike, and as Santana did last night, he struck out on 3 pitches in his first at bat.
Yeah, you have to be ready to hit, and even in last night's ball game against David Price, he took a ball right down the middle of the plate, as this fastball is. Maybe a bit on the outer half of the plate, but not ready to swing the bat.
1 down, and here is Hunter.
Sanchez will give you that little turn on that pitching rubber to where he keeps that left shoulder, almost points it toward the shortstop, Iglesias. And that's kind of a key to Sanchez's pitching, to stay back over that pitching rubber a little bit longer.
How shallow Goes is playing Hunter in center. It's one thing if it's Danny Santana or Eduardo Escobar, but Torrey's still got some pop in his bat. Goes loves to go back on a ball, and now Hunter is gone on 3 pitches. Northland Ford defense for the Tigers. Cespedes in left field. Fleet-footed Anthony Goes in center. J.D. Martinez at right. Castellanos, Iglesias, Kinsler, Cabrera in the infield. Alex Avila behind the plate.
Well, Sanchez, like David Price, they are strikeout pitchers. Sanchez, over his career, covering now 1,200 innings, averages 8 strikeouts per 9 innings. He already has 2.
Here's Mauer with 2 quick outs, 2 quick strikeouts, and there is strike 1. 7 pitches, 7 strikes.
Right now he's a machine. Stick another quarter in him.
Mauer with a double. His only hit last night. Up and away, 1-1. Shows average just below 300.
Mauer 6 hits and 20 at bats against Sanchez. There are the numbers.
Tapper right side. Kinsler has it. Each pitcher with a very effective 1-2-3 first inning. Detroit earlier today. Longtime Tiger, former Major League manager, and now a Tiger broadcaster, Kirk Gibson, acknowledging today, as you read the statement, that he has been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And Kirk, of course, one of the heroes of the 1984 World Championship Tiger Ball Club, faced the Twins in the '87 playoffs. Hit his dramatic home run for the Dodgers the following year. Just a remarkable athlete, great football player in his college days as well. And we're very happy that Jack Morris came by the TV booth here to talk a little bit about the news today. And you know Kirk better than any of us up here. Quite a fighter. He's got, unfortunately, quite a fight on his hands now.
Well, I talked to my good friend to my right about it because he's got personal experience with Parkinson's with his dad. So yeah, I want to learn a little bit about it. Obviously, you know, I've so many good things to say about Kirk and his tenacity and will and strength and fortitude and all the things that made him a winner. I learned a lot from him. I think we kind of fed off each other for a period over there in Detroit, but a great guy. And I know that
he, like you, played with a lot of intensity.
Yeah, if anybody can do whatever he can to prolong his life through this whole ordeal, it'll be Kirk Gibson.
How much did he mean to that Tiger team? We, of course, admired Alan Trammell, Lou Whitaker, that specifically the '84 Tigers that got off to a great start and ended up running the table, winning the World Series.
Well, like Bert's teams that he played on that one World Series, you've got a lot of pieces to the puzzle, and Gibby was the intense piece. He was the guy that demanded that everybody play hard and every day play through some pain and adversity.
Pelfrey 4 up, 4 down, and picking up a strikeout of Victor Martinez on that high fastball. I know, just facing Kirk Gibson, you're right. I mean, he was so intense, and you saw it. He got frustrated if he, didn't hit the ball exactly how he wanted to, and he kind of he led it by example.
Well, as a young player coming up out of college, he had the football mentality, and I think it was real hard for him to adjust to the mental aspect of baseball, and he got frustrated a lot. I think, we joke with him, but I think he got 30-some helmets the first year that he threw and broke. So, that's the kind of, intensity that I can't even describe. I've never had a teammate like him, and it was only because he wanted to win so bad.
One of those guys, and this is from a distance, of course, but he struck me as being a player. We don't want to speak of him in the past tense, right, but just in his playing career, that he made other players better because of his intensity. It made everybody really pay attention to what they were doing.
Well, we lived in a different time, played in a different generation, Bert and I think he understands it, and maybe you should talk about it, Bert, but Kirk was one of those guys that you had a little soreness, strap it on, let's go play, because
he's one of these guys you didn't like as your opponent. You'd want him on your team.
Yeah, he was a great teammate.
Yeah. 2-2 to J.D. Martinez.
He was also one of those guys, and Bert, you've had him on your teams, where you knew that if you got in a scuffle, you wanted to be by him.
The old foxhole mentality. You wanted him in your foxhole, right?
That's right.
2-2 to J.D. Martinez. Dick Bramer, Bert Blyleven, joined by Jack Morris, talking about the sad news involving Kirk Gibson, diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, down and away, 3-2.
I am not an expert at Parkinson's. I have been through it with my pops. I know he was diagnosed with Parkinson's almost the same age as Kirk is now, in later 50s, and he fought it for 20-some years, and they have come a long way as far as the medication. And Pelfrey picking up his second straight strikeout. But I know Kirk will do everything he can to find the right formula. And I don't know what stage he's at. There's so many different forms of Parkinson's.
Well, we will wish him the very best, as Pelfrey has a couple of strikeouts here in the second inning. We got a chance to play with him, and then I guess directly or indirectly broadcast with him too. We hope that he'll be able to continue on in his first year as a Tiger broadcaster.
Well, he was a broadcaster before he got into coaching.
Oh, that's right. Yep. Ball one.
For Detroit for many years. But the one thing I can say to the people that don't really understand Kirk Gibson, number one, he's a very smart man. He knows what's going on, and he's going to take a look at this from every angle and I promise you he'll do everything he can. And that's the one thing that gives me hope. Maybe I can even tease him down the road for a while. And I saw him a few years ago. I told him he looked like hell, and he said, "Well, I'll still kick your little tail." So that's the Gibby we know.
Strike two, 1-2 to Yoenis Cespedes.
Not to change the subject real quick, because our prayers and thoughts are with Kurt and his wife, but Pelfrey's splitter, he's used it a couple times already. Tigers haven't seen that.
Well, I think it opens up everything. The high fastball, everything is better when they have to look at, we talk about changing eye level, and that's a pitch that changes the eye level.
And you see him, how he grabs it right there. That's how he feels comfortable. Is that the way you threw it, or did you throw it a little differently?
When you start throwing it, you have to load it every pitch, and then you work off of that. Because it's hard to get it in the glove. Hitters can see you spread your glove, spread your fingers in the glove. So by starting it with that grip before you go in, then you can rotate it to the slider, to the fastball.
You can see him rolling the ball right there. Now, he seems to have the seams on.
Yeah, he's got a little different grip than I had. He's using seams. I did not use. I wanted the bare part of the ball.
Okay.
So I could pull my fingers through.
3 strikeouts
was it right there.
Yeah.
Good movement.
Jack Morris, thank you for the time, and from everyone involved with Twins Television, our very best wishes to Kurt Gibson. As we go to the bottom of the second inning, Twins will send up Trevor Plouffe, Eduardo Nunez, and Eduardo Escobar against Anibal Sanchez.
Yeah, Sanchez, 9 pitches in that first inning, 8 for strikes, a couple strikeouts.
And Plouffe takes inside, ball 1. Her second pitch out of the strike zone in the ball game for Sanchez. Sanchez pitched a great ball game against the Twins, just 3 hits allowed, 6 2/3 innings, second game of the year at Comerica Park. And a couple of clinkers. 2-0 in Pittsburgh, 5 earned runs in 6 1/3 innings. At home against the White Sox, 9 earned runs in 3 1/3 innings. And then a much better effort against the Yankees his last time out. Up and in, 3-0.
Well, Sanchez is a guy, that will go up the ladder, down the ladder, in, out, right there. The ball just kind of got away from him. He's trying to throw a strike, get at least 1 strike. Let's see if Trevor Plouffe has the green light right here.
Strike taken, 3-1.
Sanchez has allowed 5 home runs in 22 2/3 innings.
Gave up just 4 home runs all of last year. Popped up, 3-1 pitch. Cabrera comes in.
He took something off that pitch, and Plouffe out front creates that pop-up.
Sanford Health injury report. Brandon McCarthy, with Tommy John surgery, is done for the year. Was off to a really good start in the one-loss department, not so much with the ERA. I liked his attitude and his quote afterwards. He said, to be fair, 31 years is a lot to ask of a ligament. It finally blew at age 31.
He's had a lot of injuries in his career.
One down. Here's Eduardo Nunez, the designated hitter. At some point, the Twins will reintroduce Kenny Vargas to the starting lineup, but not tonight. Nunez getting another shot in the DH spot.
Well, you kind of stay with the hot hand. Nunez has been swinging a good bat, making good contact.
Sanchez backs out of the way, and Kinsler makes the play. 2 down. Bring up Escobar. Girls on the Run Twin Cities uses running to inspire girls to be healthy and confident. Saturday, May 30th, join the Fox Sports North girls at the University of Minnesota for the Girls on the Run Spring 5K. Register, visit foxsportsnorth.com, click on upcoming events. It's going to be a crowded t-shirt if they have a t-shirt for that with the name of the race on it. The University of Minnesota for the Girls on the Run Spring 5K. Here's Escobar to the left field corner, and Cespedes watches it land in foul ground.
It's like putting Brzezinski or Mankiewicz behind your jersey.
Hey, it reminds me, I got to find the young man's name. I hope he makes it to the big leagues.
Al Albuquerque, the reliever.
Right.
He goes from left shoulder to right shoulder.
Twins have a minor leaguer by the name of Michael Theophanopoulos. Theophanopoulos, 14 letters worth.
Wow. Saltalamacchia.
Yeah. Twins might end up with him. He's looking for work.
Yes, he is.
On the outside corner, 0-2. Kicking away from Avila.
That might have been a split finger right there. He's got a very good changeup.
Mentioned he only gave up 4 home runs last year. He had some injury issues last year. Only pitched 126 innings.
A couple stints on a disabled list.
1-2 to Escobar. Foul to the screen. I did some figuring. 5 home runs, 22 2/3 innings. If he pitches 271 innings like you did in 1986, it's not going to happen. But if he did, at the current rate, he would give up 61 home runs in the season, obliterating your record of 50.
And I would probably have to follow him around.
Yeah.
Yes. Sit out in left field like my family did.
They just figured out there was a pretty good chance they'd get a souvenir, right?
Very good chance. And I told them to get there early, too. You never know.
2-2 to Escobar. Fly ball center field goes Lopes back. And each pitcher with a 1-2-3 first and second inning. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. By NorthlandFord.com and your local Northland Ford dealer. And by Grand Casino. The best stories start here. Start from Mike Pelfrey. 6 up, 6 down. He struck out the side in the second inning. He'll face the bottom third with the Tiger lineup: Avila, Castellanos, and Iglesias. As he was wrapping up a 1-2-3 first inning, I made a comment and just an observation. Some guys throw 93, but it looks like every muscle in their body is strained to get the ball to the plate that quickly. With Pelfrey, he's got such a big frame. It doesn't appear that it's a max effort for him to hit the low to mid 90s velocity wise.
You know what, and we'll go into that, Dick, as far as his leg strength. He's very deliberate stepping back, but once he gets into that pitching rubber right there, he explodes toward home plate. He's missed with the last couple pitches.
3-0 to Avila.
You cannot tell somebody, I mean, enough how important your legs are to be able to drive off of that pitching rubber and create that speed that you get from your body, especially the lower half. Let's take a look at the delivery. Even though he threw 4 balls to Avila in his first walk and the first base runner for either side, but see how he just steps back. Now when he brings that left knee up to about his belt area and a little bit higher, now you see that drive that he generates, and a good extension right there. I always thought Brad Radke had a great delivery because he always was able to get that right shoulder over his left leg and kind of fall off toward first base. Bob Gibson was the best at that.
And missing with some fastballs. Pelfrey delivers a breaking pitch for strike 1.
Again, the windup, the high leg kick, and then the explosiveness toward home plate.
So would you agree that it looks like it's an easy 93?
Yeah, because he uses his legs.
Now inside at 91, but missing. I think even from the center field camera, you can see the movement on his pitches. He's got a fastball that can sink. He's got the splitter that fades one way or the other, the breaking ball that goes right to left.
He's got the 4-seam fastball. There's a 4-seam fastball pretty straight. And then he's got the 2-seam. He'll try to get a ground ball here. You see Suzuki sitting inside, and
off the glove of Santana and into short center field, first and second, nobody out.
Nasty little hop right there. Would have been a great turn of a possible double play.
After missing all of last season, Jose Iglesias has been a game changer this season for the Tigers, hitting .397, 6 runs scored, 5 stolen bases, and last night his first home run.
Only 25 years old in his 3rd season with the Tigers. Again, missed all of last year due to the stress fractures.
Hit him up near the top of the lineup yesterday, back down to the 9th spot. First and second, nobody out, but he's hitting nearly 400, so Brad Ausmus might not have him bunt here.
They give Santana an error on that. There we go. Now turn it.
1 and 2.
That's what you need to do as a pitcher. Rely on that sinker. Know that if you keep that ball down, you're going to get a ground ball, and he is able to do that off the bat of Iglesias. Suzuki sitting away. And that ball had, even though it was up, it had a little movement on it. And Iglesias hitting it sharply. Good turn of the double play. And 2 quick outs.
And now Anthony goes.
The Twins turned, 4 double plays in last night's ball game.
3 of them on the ground. One through the air on Robinson's assist from left field. And goes, trying to bunt his way aboard with Avila shuffling down the third baseline. 1 strike. Goes has had issues making contact. Pelfrey's picked up 3 strikeouts, all of them in the second inning. And There is strike two.
There's that fastball that starts at the hitter on the inner half and then works its way over.
Goes bounced to short his first time up. So on the season, 48 at bats and 19 strikeouts. And Pelfrey gets ahead of him, 0-2. See if he uses that splitter here to maybe pick up a strikeout.
He could go up the zone too. That's where Suzuki wants a high fastball.
That's when he struck out Martinez. Both Martinez's on a high fastball, right?
Yep.
1-2.
Change the eye level. That's what that pitch was for.
Now, splitter maybe?
Well, you might go back up again.
Splitter.
Yep. Wiggle.
And it's pasted to left. He hung it up there and it goes, lines a single to left, driving in Avila. It's not a pitch most of the time that you want to throw for a strike. And that one looked like it was right down the middle.
It was. It's just stayed up. He just kind of you know, a mistake pitch. And Goes took advantage of it. That ball's down. Maybe he gets a ground ball. Instead, it is what it is. It's a pitch up. And Goes picks up an RBI for his 6th RBI of the year as Avila scores.
We saw it in Seattle. Those leadoff walks tend to come around and score.
Yeah, keep an eye on Goes. Tigers like to run. 22 stolen bases. Even Cabrera and Martinez like to run.
You got 8 different players with a stolen base. And strike one. Avila does not have one. Cespedes doesn't have one. And Victor Martinez doesn't have one. Everybody else has picked up at least one stolen base.
Yeah, Goes has 3 and 4 attempts. Pelfrey holding, then stepping off. I guess when you have a name like Goes, you should probably be able to run and go.
Trying to keep the damage to a minimum. Just the 2nd run he's allowed over his last 3 starts.
Now Goes with the Toronto Blue Jays. His first year with the Tigers last year, or last 3 seasons, 34 stolen bases.
Goes, takes off. And safe at 2nd. Suzuki's throw on one hop, not in time.
So goes. Or goes.
Or as I said it, he took off.
I got a good jump. Short hop, Escobar. Trying to keep the tag on him in case he goes past the bag. Goes able to keep that, like the left foot on the bag.
1-1 to Kinsler. Already with 10 runs batted in on the year, hitting the top of the Tiger batting order. Down and away, 2-1. Cespedes 16 runs batted in. Cabrera 13 runs batted in. J.D. Martinez 14. Kinsler 10. Down the left field line. And a foul ball by 1.5 feet.
Yeah, coming into the ballgame, the Tigers have scored 95 runs to the Twins 64.
A lot of that difference made up in the first 3-game series.
Yeah.
Tigers outscored the Twins 25-1. Two and two. Pitch number 45 coming for Mike Pelfrey. Bouncer to short. Santana has it. And that ends the inning. The leadoff walk comes around to score. Tigers get the first run. Twins will try to get it back, starting with Oswaldo Arcia in the 3rd.
Welcome back to the ballpark. Twins coming to the plate here in the third, led by Oswaldo Arcia, and he has been struggling of late. Got the day off from the manager yesterday, and Palmeado talked about it today. He said sometimes you try to do too much. Sometimes when you do less, you get more out of your at-bats. And when I talked to Arcia about it, he said, I'm going to try to be more patient, not try to overthink it when I get into that batter's box and try to get ahead in the count for once. That didn't work. All right, boys, we'll see if we can get it straightened out tonight.
They're swinging at a changeup. I don't think you can change, your aggressiveness at the plate, and Arcia, very aggressive swinger.
And he lines a base hit to center field on the second pitch.
And that's one thing we have seen. Arcia can hit the ball down. It's that pitch that's about letter high that gives him trouble. This ball, not a bad pitch right here, but watch Arcia go down and get it. The ball had some tail on it, and Arcia just kind of reached over the plate and just poked it softly into center field.
The Twins get their leadoff man on with a base hit. Tigers got an unearned run in the top of this inning. An error charged to Danny Santana. Now Kurt Suzuki will bat for the Twins.
Yeah, that was a very tough error, but
Suzuki drops down a bunt. Castellanos has it. Suzuki will get credit for a sacrifice. And Arcia at second with one away. Schaefer just 2 for 14 against Sanchez, and it's actually worse than that. In the 14 at bat, Sanchez has struck him out 8 times.
Well, he had a very good night at the plate last night. 3 hits. Hopefully he can keep it going. A couple of the hits slapped to left field.
Up the middle and a little roll to Iglesias. 2 down. And Arcia up to third base. Bring up Danny Santana. Sanchez, a strike thrower. That's been in evidence again here tonight. The Twins now striking early. Arcia swung at both pitches. Suzuki bunted the first pitch he saw. Schaefer put the first ball he saw into play, and we'll see what Santana can do here to maybe tie the game. Beautiful night here at the ballpark. Santana struck out on 3 pitches, took a fastball on the outside corner for a call, 3rd strike. Up and in, ball 1. Talking with Paul Molitor today about Santana, and I asked him, I said, is it a good thing or a bad thing that a player seems to respond like Santana does to a game or 2 off? Where he got a day off in Chicago and then started a 5-game hitting streak where he had, 9 hits over the 5 games. This one flared foul, and Cespedes has no play. And then Santana got some time off, came back with a 3-hit game last night. And the manager said of Santana, and I think he meant it as a compliment, Santana's is one of those, my word, not his, volatile guys where he might strike out 4 times one night and get 4 hits the next.
Right.
Unpredictable maybe is a better word. 1-1. And now ball 2.
It's a grind every day for these everyday players. They come in early a lot. Yesterday, I know they were out here early working on bunting. And you take some extra batting practice, then you hit in the normal batting practice time. They want to get good at their trade. They have to be able to do that right there.
Rocketed right over the shoulder blades of Sanchez, and Santana delivers a 2-out hit to tie the game. That was the most encouraging thing. A loss is a loss, but the Twins regularly last night in coming back after a big early deficit got some big 2-out hits, and early here tonight now Santana delivers.
Well, fastball down, and Santana right back up the middle. Watch out. Oh, went right behind the back of Sanchez in the center field.
There's Torrey Hunter. He struck out on 3 pitches. Twins have not been able to generate much in the way of a running game because the runners had a hard time getting to first base, including Santana entering the game with a .231 batting average.
Now, clubs have run against Sanchez over his career. 115 stolen bases off of Sanchez in his career. Only 15 caught.
Santana has a healthy lead. Not on the first pitch as Hunter takes strike one. You think, who are the guys that could steal bases for the Twins? Brian Dozier, he's hitting .205. Then down to Santana hitting .231. Schaefer hitting .190. Those, by season's end, it is expected they'll be the top base stealers for the Twins, and they just haven't been getting on base.
You just can't steal first.
Outside 1-1.
Santana last year, 20 stolen bases, was caught only 4 times. 1 for 2 so far this year.
Up the middle. Kinsler backhands and fires to first, and Cabrera with that soft backhand scoops out another low throw.
Nice play by Kinsler too.
Twins get the run back thanks to a pair of singles. Of Ojibwe and Midwakanton Sioux Native Americans in colorful powwows. Visit exploreminnesota.com. Discover a world that's only in Minnesota. Post your Minnesota experiences with hashtag #OnlyInMN. First pitch fouled away by Miguel Cabrera, 1 strike. Nice answer by the Twins.
Yes.
They were held in check. An unearned run marked against Mike Pelfrey, and Santana delivered the tying run with a sharp 2-out single. 1-1. Cabrera, Victor Martinez, J.D. Martinez. Indians had a late inning lead on the Royals, but now the Royals have capitalized against the Cleveland bullpen.
Good pitch.
Jammed him. May have broken his bat.
Good pitch. First couple pitches, breaking balls. That first one Cabrera fouled off, then he took. And then he went hard in with that 2-seamer. Kind of tied up a very, very good hitter. Let that ball run into him.
It's 1-2.
How's he lay off of that pitch?
Where was the pitch?
That's that split finger, and that bottom just fell out of it.
A little bit of a smirk by Pelfrey. I think
he's probably Cabrera saying, "What was that?"
It was a pitch.
That's a good pitch right there. It's where it crosses the plate.
fouled away.
Cabrera like a big kid out there. He's always talking and having fun. Very serious though once he gets in that batter's box.
2-2 to the leadoff man here in the fourth.
Wow.
There's the outside corner.
Perfect pitch. Wow. Strikeout number 4. Well, so far we have a pitcher's duel. Mike Pelfrey. First 2 innings, he had 3 strikeouts. Struck out the side in the second inning. He ended up walking that leadoff hitter, Avila. He later scored for the only run off of Pelfrey. And Anibal Sanchez just as good. 3 innings, only a couple hits. Gave up a 2-run single to Danny Santana. We're tied at 1 apiece.
Pelfrey with 4 strikeouts, maybe more significant who he struck out. He has now struck out Miguel Cabrera, Victor Martinez, J.D. Martinez, and Yoenis Cespedes, the 4 biggest bats in the Tiger lineup. 1-0 to Victor Martinez, chased a high fastball to strike out leading off the second.
And this guy doesn't strike out that often. That was only the 8th time that Martinez has struck out in 53 at-bats.
Off-season knee surgery, and of course Victor Martinez is a switch hitter, and they say it really, the recovery bothers him more from the left side than the right side.
Yeah, it's a left knee that he had surgically repaired again.
3-0, hitting .429 from the right side of the plate and .184 coming into play today from this side of the plate.
He missed all of 2012 when he had torn left ACL. He had a couple surgeries on that knee. Then he had another one in February.
Green lighted on 3-0, and it's 3-1. We're talking with Mario and Pemba, does a great job on the Tiger telecast about Victor Martinez. And he said, you know, this guy's amazing. He doesn't give anything away. Not one at bat, not one pitch within an at bat. There's a level of focus and intensity that even if you're on the other side is pretty admirable. There's a lazy fly to right. And Hunter comes in for out number 2. Before J.D. Martinez comes to the plate, who are the 4 players who best represent the history of the Minnesota Twins, and who are the 4 greatest living Major League Baseball players. Go to MLB.com, franchise 4, to cast your ballots. The winners will be revealed during the All-Star Game July 14th on Fox. Now, I believe that Walter Johnson is on the candidate list for the Twins franchise because he was with the Washington Senators.
Right.
I have a hard time with that just because I don't know that Walter Johnson never set foot in the state of Minnesota.
110 shutouts. He's got my vote.
2 down. 1 strike to J.D. Martinez and a ball foul, 2 strikes. So yeah, you have to include the Washington Senators who were with the franchise before it moved to Minnesota, and that does include Walter Johnson.
Well, you look at Harmon Killebrew, Rod Carew, Jim Cotton, Kirby Puckett, Joe Mauer, and Tony Oliva, who has represented this club as well as anybody that ever wore a uniform.
And before your imagination runs away with yourself, at back home, the SP stands for starting pitcher, right? It's a drive to right center field. 1 hopping the wall. J.D. Martinez will dig for second, and he has a 2-out double.
That's what I think has impressed the Tigers the most about Martinez coming over from last year, and he's impressed the Twins too. The way that he can take that ball the other way with power. He had a couple home runs in that 3-game series at the beginning of the year. The balls hit the other way. Watch how he stays back and then just explodes toward the center field, right field area. That ball one-hopping the fence.
Swing's one of those bats that when the ball hits it, it makes a different sound, a crisper sound.
I hate it, guys like that.
Here's Yoenis Cespedes. He's got a pretty potent bat as well.
Yes, he does.
That's down the line, foul, 1 strike.
That's a good pitch right there, because yesterday's ball game, Tommy Malone came in with a fastball inside. Cespedes hit that 3-run home run. This one really got into the kitchen. Watch this ball run in.
Chipped his bat.
And last night's home run, watch where this pitch is. Okay. Got a little part of the plate. You got to pitch this guy off the plate inside a little bit. He's aggressive in. He likes to open up, and that's what he wants to do, is hit it in the third deck. Show him enough inside, you can open up that outer half of the plate.
Isn't it easier to do that as a right-handed pitcher throwing 93 than a lefty throwing 88?
You know what? Tommy Malone didn't have his best stuff.
Right.
You know, in that Chicago game, his first, he busted those guys hard inside. He was on. Last night was, and he's the first to admit, he just was not sharp.
1-1.
You're going to have days like that, believe me. Another good pitch inside.
1-2.
You get that hitter looking in there. If you can get in there and get ahead in the count, then you can kind of do what he did to Cabrera, paint that 4-seamer down and away. And Cabrera took that called third strike.
Struck out Cespedes in the second with a split finger pitch that darted down and away.
Now, do you go back in again, or do you maybe fastball away, or do you go to the split finger? Suzuki sitting away.
Fastball off the plate.
Just missed outside. He tried to do what he did to Cabrera. Very potent lineup the Tigers have.
Two and two. To center and deep. Schaefer back. Won't get there. All the way to the deepest corner of the ballpark. It's another double. A pair of 2-out doubles have the Tigers in front 2-1.
Yeah, that ball down and in, and Cespedes again. He likes to open up quick, and he dropped the barrel of the bat and hit that ball 400 and some feet into the deepest part here at Target Field, right near that 411 mark. Trying to go in, but the ball down. Cespedes very strong. Hit that ball a long way. His 7th double of the year, driving in his 17th run.
And now Avila. Cespedes pulling most of his hits to left. Hit that one to just about straightaway center field. And now Avila takes a strike. Tickles the outside corner. Tigers got an unearned run in the third, but now a pair of 2-out doubles have them in front 2-1. Last night's game, the Twins came back at the Tigers, and the Tigers kept shooting themselves in the foot. Lead-off doubles, lead-off triples. They couldn't add to the run total. And now here in the fourth, they get two-out extra base hits to retake the lead. Pitch floats outside 2-1. It was Avila's 4-pitch walk that started the third inning and eventually cost the Twins a run. Castellanos reached on an error charge to Santana, and then with 2 outs, Anthony Goes delivered an RBI single. Avila has only 7 hits. He's now walked 11 times. Two and two. the back. Left a low 90s fastball up, and Avila sent it to the screen. Tigers trying to stay ahead of the Royals. The Royals look like they're going to win. They're up 9-5 against the Indians and battering the Cleveland bullpen. The game's now in the 9th inning. Justin Verlander played a little catch today as he hopes to work his way back from a tricep strain. Taken low, it's a full count with Castellanos on deck.
Yeah, 70 pitches now for Pelfrey. 25 so far this inning.
And Avila draws his second walk. First and second, 3 straight batters have reached, and now Castellanos will hit. May 26th is Healthcare Professionals Night here at Target Field. Special ticket packages are available. That includes exclusive Twins branded scrubs. Limited number of ticket packages are available, and your only way to get your Twins scrubs. Visit twinsbaseball.com/healthcare for tickets and more information.
Quick trip to the mound by the pitcher coach Neil Allen, trying to give Pelfrey a little breather right here. Too many pitches here so far this inning. First 2 outs came pretty easy, a strikeout and a fly ball out. But a double-double creates a 2-1 Tigers lead. There's 26 pitches this inning.
Castellanos hit the hard smash. Santana reached out for it, kicked off his glove. Santana was charged with an error. Out and away, ball 1.
Is missing with that slider here this evening. Fastball still, velocity is fine. Tried it again and missed down and away. Castellanos just 23 years old in his 3rd season with the Tigers. Some pop in his bat.
Fouled back. They got away with fastball right down the middle, it looked like. 2-0. Castellanos swung from his heels. 66 at bats coming into the game and 22 strikeouts. Think of the Tigers as a strikeout pitching staff. Price, Sanchez, Soria out of the bullpen. But they've struck out much more than they have had their pitching staff strike out the other team. 2-1. Now 2-2. You got Avila, who has struck out more than once every 3 times. Castellano once every 3 times. Goes once every 3 times. For take a strikeout, he just wants an out. Get off the field here. The Tigers have already scored 1 this inning. Two and 2. Jam shot, no roller. Santana gets the grounder and then goes to the bag. That takes care of it. Tigers get a couple of 2-out doubles to retake the lead. Joe Mauer and company will try to do something about that in the bottom of the inning.
fourth inning. I thought Mike Pelfrey was pitching him very well, really throwing that ball in there. Just missed with that little slider away. Went back in again. And there he tried to strike him out. That was a 2-2 count. Now he left one too much of the plate. You either go up or it opens up the outer side of the plate. Game's great to second guess. You know, we can sit up here and say, boy, you should have done this, should have done that. But it looked like he tried to come back in again with that two-seamer up, and he left it down, and Sepsidis dropped the barrel of the bat.
3, 4, and 5 batters for the Twins. Mauer, Plouffe, and Nunez. Outside 2-0. Mauer with a bouncer to second his first time up. And a strike call. One thing that's happened for Joe so far this year, I mean, we're not out of April, but maybe it's a trend. The Twins sure hope so. His walks and strikeouts are now evening out again. For the last couple of years, Joe has struck out a lot more than he has walked. Swing and miss, 2-2. Last year, for instance, he spent some time on the disabled list, struck out 96 times, walked just 60 times. 89 strikeouts the year before, 61 walks. 2-2. And pushing it foul between Gene Glenn and the line. He used to be in his prime, I guess, in the late 2007, 8, 9 when he won the MVP. He used to be one of the toughest guys in the league to strike out. Right-handed, left-handed, didn't make any difference.
He was like Wade Boggs. He wasn't afraid to go 0-2 because you knew he was going to make contact somewhere.
2-2 to Mauer. Call, third strike with Avila setting out near the outside corner. And Mauer takes a called third strike, one down.
Strikeout number 3 in the ball game for Sanchez. Straight over the top, almost like a drop that drops straight down.
One down, that'll bring up Presley. It'll pop up to Cabrera his first time up. A day game tomorrow with the Tigers. And then the homestand continues with the Chicago White Sox coming to town. And the White Sox have already had a pretty interesting last few days. And a game suspended because of rain Friday night. Unable to play at all Saturday. That game will be made up later. Then they completed the suspended game from Friday. Sunday played their own game. They ended up winning both against the Kansas City Royals. And they went to Baltimore, and unfortunately they've been unable to play baseball in Baltimore. The game postponed again today. They're going to try to play the final game of that series tomorrow, but they are not opening the gates.
Right.
They will not have any fans in attendance. They will play the game tomorrow in Baltimore. Popped up. Kinsler to the outfield grass.
And because of teams that are outside the division, it's the only time Chicago goes to Baltimore. So they were trying to, okay, what can we do? Well, they're going to end up on a mutual off day, May 28th. They'll end up, Chicago will end up going back to Baltimore at that time and play a doubleheader. And then you think what Baltimore has to go through is the Tampa Bay Rays that were coming in for the weekend series. And instead of Tampa Bay, they're going to stay at home as Baltimore is going to be the home team in Tampa.
They will bat second at Tropicana Field, fouled back just beneath us. Now we all know there are far greater concerns regarding the city of Baltimore, but just in baseball terms, it's been a very disruptive week for both the Orioles and the Twins and Major League Baseball, trying to find a solution to all this and being on guard for everyone's safety. One strike to Nunez.
Biggest solution is just let's all have peace.
At some point that will be restored, but not now, unfortunately. One strike to Nunez. The Tigers got their second run with some 2-out hitting. We'll see if the Twins can get something done here in the fourth. Pop foul, backing out of play again. Twins have a 4-game series with the White Sox when they get here, and they were going to miss somebody out of the Chicago rotation, and because of the postponements, they will miss Jeff Samardzija. They will get Chris Sale and John Danks. No AZ. Just to short left center field. And Cespedes with the catch. Sanchez has a 1-2-3-4th inning and a 2-1 lead. Mike Pelfrey hoping for a better 5th inning. Already off to a better start. He delivers a breaking ball and strike 1.
And a quick inning. 31 pitches in that 4th inning.
Bounce to the right side. Escobar spins, fires to Bauer, 1 away. And on a beautiful spring night, our Pepsi fans of the game. Are those folks? Pondering Twins comeback hopes here, down 2-1. 2-1's a lot better than 5-1.
Yes.
1 down. Here's Anthony Goes. Swing and a miss. Goes delivered a 2-out single in the 3rd, scoring Avila from 3rd base. The Tigers got a pair of 2-out doubles in the 4th to retake the lead.
The Tigers only have 3 hits. Good off-speed pitch right there. Might have been the split finger. Pelfrey ahead in the count. Has 4 strikeouts, a couple walks. Both walks being to Avila.
Crack foul. Tigers last year at this time still had Austin Jackson patrolling center field. We saw him last weekend for the Mariners.
They tried to go in on that last pitch. He left that out on the plate. See if they go back in again. Now get it in there. Better pitch.
Foul back.
You know, a lot of times you're out there, and I just do the same thing. You leave that one. I want to go right back in there again because I want to tell myself and make myself get that ball inside. Now you want to drop this right on top of home plate. Yeah, got away with it. Strikeout number 5.
I think isn't that one of the advantages of that pitch? you can miss out of the strike zone with it, and you'll still get a swing and a miss. You know, the one that Pelfrey threw goes in the third inning. He left it out over the plate.
Well, the fastballs are 92, 93, and all of a sudden now, you know, goes. You can see the split finger right there of that, the grip. But when you're ahead 0-2, you want to drop that baby right on the other side of home plate. Like that. That's a good pitch right there.
One strike to Kinsler. Now a ball. Two and one.
He's missing with that fastball away. The only good one he's thrown is when he struck out Cabrera. He had Seps that is set up for it.
Pop up short center.
That's been his best pitch. That good little sinker inside.
Schaefer with the catch. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for Mike Pelfrey.
The ball game, and we are right in the middle of the winner's circle. It's the Minnesota State Lottery winner's circle. Heyman is next to me from Chanhassen. He's got a couple of kids here that met Bert last year. Great picture. Obviously a beautiful night tonight, getting circled by a Hall of Famer. Great seats. Pretty special.
It is. It's fun to come out to the kids.
We asked the boys who your favorite player was, and both of you said the same guy. Which guy is that?
Joe Mauer.
They love Joe Mauer. They love that they've got Bert's picture here, and they're getting circled by Bert. They also get 100 scratch-off tickets, guys, to take home from the Minnesota State Lottery.
Hey, guys, you are hereby circled.
Eduardo Escobar taking ball one. He'll be followed by Oswaldo Arcia and Kurt Suzuki.
You know, I look at that pitch speed when Sanchez is out there. One's 85, one's 87, one's 91. There's not too often that he'll throw that same speed back to back. Mixing a changeup, overhand curveball.
Kinsler, backhand, sets, fires one away. Carsoup.com trivia question. Who are the 4 Detroit managers to guide the Tigers to the postseason in their first season on the job?
Brad Ausmus.
Ding, 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 ding. Well, I don't know about Sparky Anderson in 19. Well, he came over from the red zone in the late 70s, didn't he?
Not really sure. Good breaking ball there for strike one.
Billy Martin get him there his first year?
I believe he did.
One strike to Oswaldo Arcia. To left. And down for a hit. Arcia with a single to center, and now one to left field. He has 2 of the 3 Twins hits. The entire left side of the infield is wide open for Arcia. Whether he was trying to do that or whether it just happened, but the more hits he can get to the opposite field, the better off he's going to be.
That man right there, Tom Bernansky, and Rudy Hernandez, the assistant hitting coach, spending a lot of time with Arcia, trying to soften up his swing a little bit. And I think we've seen 2 swings tonight that aren't as violent as sometimes we see him swing.
Here's Suzuki, dropped down a sacrifice after Arcia's leadoff single in the 3rd. It paid off. Santana delivered a 2-out single, and the Twins had a run on the board, up and in. Fox Tracks presented by Jeep.
Sinker down and in there. Sanchez making his 199th major league start, his 201st game, a couple of relief outings, 71 wins, 66 losses, an ERA of right around 3.5.
One and one. There goes Arcia. The pitch grounded foul.
Ultimate of surprise. Or maybe put on a little hit and run right there. Trying to get one of the middle infielders moving a little bit towards second base.
Tigers did a lot of running yesterday, but apparently in the process they missed a lot of signs. 1-2 to Suzuki. Suzuki pokes it foul.
He tried to sneak a 94-mile-an-hour fastball. So we've seen, highs and lows from Sanchez, and upper 70s, 94-mile-an-hour fastball. And only 55 pitches, 39 have been strikes.
Jeff Jones, a pitching coach, manager Brad Ausmus in the background. Watching an interview this morning, Chris Archer was off to a great start with the Tampa Bay Rays, and he was talking about that, how changing speeds off the fastball and your breaking pitches, if you can take a little on or take a little off your fastball, that's 2 different pitches. And
it's a changeup right there.
Sanchez took a little off, but the more range you show a hitter, the more they consciously or subconsciously have to try to react to something different.
Yeah, 94, 75 low, 94 high, but it's the ones in between that are, 84 to 87.
2-2 to Suzuki. And punched into center field, a base hit. Arcia will hold up at second, so a pair of singles with 1 out in the 5th. Twins are threatening to tie the ball game, maybe take the lead. During the month of April, Fox Sports North wants you to share your excitement and passion for Minnesota sports using the hashtag #AprilMadeMeDoIt. Send a photo of your family decked out in team gear, maybe faces painted in team colors, as long as it shows your enthusiasm for your hometown team. And follow FS North on Twitter to find out how you could win an April Made Me Do It prize pack. Here's Jordan Schaefer. In defeat last night, the Twins got some clutch hits that we haven't seen much of this year. Schaefer takes up high. Ball 1. And he's had a hard time just making contact against Sanchez. 2 hits, 15 at bats, and 8 strikeouts. Kansas City beat Cleveland 11-5. Indians having some issues early on this year. Miss. 1-1. talked about Schaefer. One of the things he did well in spring training was make contact, particularly with 2 strikes, just putting the ball in play, which is, of course, what the Twins want him to do with his speed.
Well, he's a line drive type hitter. He should be, and then a guy that beats the ball into the ground to utilize his speed.
1-1. Popped up.
See, that's not good.
And Cespedes calling off Iglesias. 2 down. And now Danny Santana has delivered 1 RBI hit with 2 out in his last at bat.
Yeah, got a pitch down, hit right back up the middle. Scored Arcia from third base.
Off the line, just foul. Driving in his 4th run. We talked about it last night. The Twins imagined Santana in a full season scoring around 100 runs. He's only scored 5 runs this year. One strike. To right field, down for a hit. Arcia is going to be held at third. Now he's coming through, and he's out by 30 feet.
Gene Glenn did everything he could to try to hold up Arcia, and he was a dead duck at home.
3 singles in the inning, but the inning ends with the Twins down by a run.
He ran right through the stop sign.
Costly base running mistake by Oswaldo Arcia.
Well, he's got to know this ball is hit really hard right to J.D. Martinez, and he was going to hold up. I'm sure Gene Glenn holding him up, but something inside of him. You can see Gene Glenn say, yeah, come on, but right there, hold up. I think Gene Glenn wanted to tackle him right there.
Inside, up around the hands to Miguel Cabrera, ball 1. Well, but I mean, you're a runner. You're rounding second base. You're going to third. You're supposed to run hard as if you're going to score.
Right.
And you see the initial sign, come on.
Right.
But you have to watch the coach, because the coach is going to wait until the last instant.
But he's probably 10 feet away from him, saying, I'm sure, stop. You know.
No, I know. I mean, third base coaches change their signs all the time. It's what they flash you at the end that really matters. And that's what Arcia, you can't even say that he didn't see it because he all but stopped.
Right.
And then started to run again. Fouled away, 2-1.
Watch Avila tagging out Arcia. Tags him just before the foot is on the plate. But he gave him a running lane.
Fly ball to right field. It's hanging in the air for Hunter. One down. And that'll bring up Victor Martinez. Follow Twins baseball all year with MLB.com At Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At Bats up to the moment, at any moment, with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, StatCast, and more. Get MLB.com At Bat for your smartphone or tablet. Here's Victor Martinez. And strike one. Pelfrey had his issues in the 4th inning after the first 2 men were out. Double walk. But we've seen innings blow up in Mike's face many times over the last couple of years. He was able to eventually get the final out, give up just the 1 run, and now he's retired 5 men in a row. He's gotten Cabrera 3 times tonight, Victor Martinez twice. And you'd have to say that the start 2 starts ago, his effort against the Royals and what we've seen so far here are probably the 3 best starts he's given the Twins in 3 years.
Oh, for sure. But again, you know, injuries part of that non-success. But he says he's healthy. He's throwing the ball well right now. Only 1 run earned thanks to the back-to-back doubles in the 4th inning and the 31 pitches he played.
Down and away. Twins have some decisions to make, or at least one pretty soon. Ricky Nolasco, the Twins have yet to determine whether he's going to need another rehab start or whether he'll be reinserted into the rotation. But if he does that, if he comes back to the rotation, someone necessarily would have to come out of the rotation. All day for Plouffe to make the play to Mauer. 2 down. Martinez barely makes it to first base.
Oh, it looked like another good off-speed pitch. Martinez way out front to create that ground ball out. So Martinez 0 for 3 as Miguel Cabrera is.
And now J.D. Martinez.
Yeah, there was 2 outs in the 4th inning when Martinez came up, and then he hit the double to right field. The quick out here.
This one hooked down the line, but it'll be a foul ball. Any team right now, based on the events of his last 3 starts, any team in baseball would be hard pressed to take Mike Pelfrey out of the rotation. He's pitched well enough to stay in any rotation. And of course, Twins fans are hoping it's not a mirage, that this is the real deal. This is what the Twins can expect every 5 days from Pelfrey as he takes the mound.
If he's healthy, I think they can, because he was healthy with New York.
Foul back.
When he won 15 ball games.
And you do, I think, have to acknowledge that these starts, the Kansas City start and now this start against the 2 best hitting teams in the American League. 2 strikes to J.D. Martinez. And that might have been the splitter right there, and he gets a strikeout. Back-to-back 1, 2, 3 innings after a wobbly 4th. By Toyota. See where Toyota takes you. Test drive one at your Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. By Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine for the everyday competitor in all of us. And by McDonald's. Have bold for breakfast with the new chorizo burrito from McDonald's. And Torrey Hunter leading off the Twins' 6th inning. Taking strike one, Hunter, Mauer, and Plouffe against Anibal Sanchez. Tapper, Sanchez fires to Cabrera, one away. And that'll bring up Joe Mauer.
Well, Joe, over the last 6 ball games, you can see the high average. Driven in 5 runs on 3 doubles. Also a triple for Joe. He leads the Twins with 9 runs batted in.
One down here in the Twins' 6th, and their strike one to Mauer. Mauer called out on strikes in the 4th, hit a bouncer to 2nd in the 1st. Swing and a miss, 0-2.
Pitch count very good for Sanchez. 66 pitches, 48 strikes, 73% in the strike zone.
Wheeler set up inside. Sanchez missed outside, 1-2. Five singles against Sanchez. Left field corner, chased by Cespedes, and
I believe he committed.
What a catch by Cespedes! Yep. Reaching and backhanding the catch in foul territory.
He got that short wall right there too that he has to contend with. And Cespedes goes over. Good concentration, opens up that glove, and before he meets that short wall, makes a nice catch.
2 down. That'll bring up Plouffe. That's not quite Alex Gordon-like, but that's a pretty good catch for a left fielder. Gordon had a similar play in Chicago and ended up 3 rows deep into the seats.
Did the old Derek Jeter.
One strike to Trevor Plouffe. And now in the dirt. Trevor hitting cleanup. Now with the Twins trying to find someone who can drive the ball, hitting in the 4th spot. Swing and a miss, 1-2.
Twins went on that road trip to Kansas City and Seattle. They hit only 1 home run, and that was Escobar.
Mentioned it last night. Twins 8-11 on the year. When you look at the lineup and how little it's produced in terms of runs and hits, it's amazing that the team is just 3 games below 500 off the plate. Vargas, who was projected to hit somewhere in the middle of the lineup, 4th or 5th, and be the primary power source, now has been sitting on the bench because he's been struggling. Arcia has struggled. Santana, the leadoff man, has struggled. A called 3rd strike with Sanchez again shaving the outside corner, and he has a 1-2-3 6th inning.
fastballs that Sanchez threw to Plouffe. Now he missed outside with this fastball. It's still the hardest pitch to hit. He comes back with it again. Just a little bit over, might have been off the plate, but you see where Avila is sitting. It's called strike 3.
Yeah, it wasn't a strike.
But you hit the glove, and as the game goes on, the umpire starts to say, hey, he's hitting the spots. All of a sudden, that strike zone expands a little bit. Like that. That's a strike. Good pitch. See, the one on the left was called the ball, and the one on the right, strike 3.
Strike 1 now to Cespedes. And now a ball. Pelfrey in position now with 100 pitches. The Twins hope to have a quick 7th inning and finish it. 7 innings against the Royals, 5 hits allowed. 6 innings against the Tigers so far, and 5 hits allowed. Ball to right. Hunter back and making the catch on the track.
I think this is another sign too, Dick, that Pelfrey is feeling better, because in his last start, 7 shutout innings, threw 99 pitches, and now at 101. So building up that arm strength, and that's what Neil Allen wants. He wanted out of Gibson in Seattle too. He let him go out there, but Gibson gave up a base hit and then came out of the ballgame.
Alex Avila with a couple of walks. The only 2 walks issued by Pelfrey tonight. And strike 1. 1 earned run, 1 unearned run for Pelfrey. And on the outside corner, 0-2.
It's that split finger again.
Up high with a fastball.
Fastball on 92, so the velocity's still there. We saw that in Kansas City.
And Avila lays off, 2-2. Avila with 1 home run this year came against the Twins in the opening series in Detroit. There's the call, 3rd strike over the inside corner, 2 down.
And strikeout number 7 in the ballgame for Pelfrey.
Hit the sweet spot all season long at Target Field. The Sweet Spot program is a unique set of benefits and experiences exclusive to season ticket holders. Benefits range from pregame field passes, bobblehead dolls, taking batting practice on the field, or raising the Twins territory flag. They're reserved exclusively for Twins full season 40-game and 20-game plan holders. Call 833-TWINS or go to twinsbaseball.com for more info. Here's Castellanos. Swing and a foul, 1 strike. You know what Paul Molitor has done is look at a 6th inning in this case and say, well, look, it all went pretty well. He's finishing strong. Let him go another one, and we've seen that a number of times already this year.
Retired 9 straight Tiger batters.
Actually, did I say Tigers had 5 hits against Pelfrey? They have just 3. The Twins have 5 hits. 1-1. Fly ball right field. Hunter back on the edge of the track. 7 really good innings for Mike Pelfrey against this very potent Tiger lineup.
scored first in the top of the third inning. Goes getting a base hit, but the Twins came back in the bottom of the third with a base hit by Santana, scoring Arcia. And then with a 2-out double by J.D. Martinez, that followed a Cespedes double. That made it a 2-1 ball game. Mike Pelfrey, 7 very good innings. Only 3 hits allowed, 2 runs, only 1 earned, with a season-high 7 strikeouts. And Sanchez has been just a little bit better.
Inside to Nunez, ball 1. Twins need to get something done here. Nunez, Escobar, Arcia. 5 hits, all singles against the Tiger right-hander. And a strike called, 1-1. Nunez with a bouncer to second, a fly ball to left. Drilled to center, and Nunez is aboard to start the 7th inning. As we said in Seattle, he presents some issues on the bases because he can run really well first to third, or in the case of a double, first to home. He's one of the fastest guys on the team, and he's aboard to start the 7th inning.
And he can steal some bases too. 57 career stolen bases. Caught only 15 times.
Escobar 0 for 2.
Castellanos at third base, looking for the possible bunt.
Would like to get Escobar's bat going. He was one of their better hitters in April a year ago. Long hold by Sanchez, and Escobar asks for time. Escobar squares and takes ball 1. Twins used a sacrifice bunt after a leadoff single in the third. Suzuki dropped a bunt down, got Arcia to second base, and then Arcia went to third base and eventually scored on Santana's single. The Twins have just scored runs 1 at a time against the Tigers, and not enough of those. 2-0. Like Escobar, he squares to bunt, but if there is such a thing, and there is a good pitch to hit, there's also such a thing as a good pitch to bunt, and he's taken 2 balls, and that might change the Twins' strategy here.
If you're a pitcher and they're going to give you an out, you have to throw a strike.
See if they give Escobar a swing now. Square, and took a strike, 2-1. 2-0, and Escobar was ready to unload on a fastball, but he didn't get a fastball.
Hey, all right, let's go, come on, man.
Three and 1. Arcia on deck.
Sanchez has not walked anybody yet. 4 strikeouts.
Escobar has not drawn a walk this year. That matter, neither has Santana. Arcia has taken 4 walks. They've all been intentional walks. breaking ball in the outside corner.
That's pitching right there. How much confidence you have in something other than a fastball in a fastball situation. 3-1, you're thinking fastball. He drops that breaking ball outer half of the plate.
Full count. See if Nunez takes off here. He goes. Driven to right center field. Nunez pauses. Now to third. Now to home. And Escobar has tied the game up with a double. They tried that in Seattle and it was a disaster. Escobar in a check swing was called out on strikes. Nunez was thrown out at second base. It was a strike him out, throw him out double play. And now this, the exact opposite.
Not this time. Looked like a fastball. So a 3-1 breaking ball. That pitch down. Escobar. Always surprising power for Escobar. Hits this ball to deep right center. Martinez plays the carom, but Nunez scores from first base. So Escobar picking up his third RBI on his second double.
First extra base hit against Sanchez. Arcia has 2 singles. Swing and a miss, 1 strike. Arcia singled and scored in the third, singled and tried to score in the fifth after Gene Glenn, the third base coach, put up the stop sign. He was out by conservatively 30 feet.
Now, whatever he did in his first 2 at-bats, he has to think the same. Don't try to hit the 3-run home run right here. Just make good contact like he did in the 3rd and 5th inning.
Squirted foul, 2 strikes. Now he'll try to get done with 2 strikes. The bare minimum here. Suzuki, a pretty good batsman in the on-deck circle. You'd like to have him come to the plate with Escobar at third.
And Sanchez, of course, thinking strikeout right here.
And he got it on 3 pitches, 1 away.
On a little extra, 92, 93 mile an hour fastball. And he does pick up his 5th strikeout.
One down. Reds have tied it up here in the 7th, and now Kurt Suzuki. Suzuki singled his last time up. Fouled away. Twins trying to get a lead against the Tigers for the first time this year and get a lead for Mike Pelfrey, who in all likelihood is out of the game after 7 innings.
109 pitches thrown by Pelfrey. Great 7 innings.
Gary Castellano, the strength and conditioning coach. Inside.
Yeah, when you're rehabbing, you spend a lot of time repairing.
Manning Tucker, who most road trips stays back here and works with the likes of Nolasco and whoever else might need some rehabbing.
Ryan Dunsing while he was on DL.
1-1 to Suzuki. High and tight.
Pitches Sanchez has used in an inning is 16, and this will be number 16 in this inning.
Up the middle, through for a hit. Escobar to third, coming in, and the Twins have taken the lead. Three hits And a couple of runs so far here in the 7th, and Jeff Jones to the mound.
Well, after a pitch up and in, that breaking ball just kind of hung right there. Suzuki hitting it past the diving Iglesias. And Escobar scoring the second run of the inning. Twins take a 3-2 lead. Suzuki picked up an RBI in last night's ball game. Picks up another one here tonight.
Started with an Eduardo Nunez single, and again, I think the term I used in Seattle, the guy can mash a low fastball, and I think that's what Sanchez gave him. And Nunez crushed it, ended up scoring the tying run. Escobar scored the go-ahead run, and now here is Schaefer. Schaefer bunted it, and if it hit him in the box. Brad Ausmus is going to come out and check with home plate umpire Dan Bellino.
Take a look. Schaefer looks like he's trying to take this ball or bunt it, and
yeah, he had not had a foot out of the box yet. And Brad Ausmus checking. I think what he's saying is, will you check with Alfonso Marquez to see if he saw it at a different angle? It is not a reviewable play, so it can't be challenged. One strike to Schaefer. Castellanos in on the grass at third. Called by Schaefer. We talk about it with Mike Pelfrey a lot. The pace of things really drags with men on base, but same too for Sanchez. Up and away, 1-1.
Well, sometimes it takes a little longer if you're not on the same page with your catcher too, because he has about 4 or 5 pitches that he can throw.
One and one to Schaefer. Popped up. It will reach the seats. 1-2. Well, it took until the 5th game, took until the late innings of the 5th game, but the Twins finally have a lead on the Tigers. Twins out hitting Detroit 8-3.
I'm happy the Twins got the lead from Mike Pelfrey. 7 very good innings. Only 1 earned run allowed. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Minnesota Twins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Minnesota Twins, LLC.
One and two to Schaefer. Got a piece. This is what Schaefer did well in spring training, and he's had a tougher time doing it in the regular season, battling with 2 strikes and making contact. See if he can put one in play and get a nice soft landing spot in the outfield here. Up and away, 2-2. Butch Davis. Schaefer battling the veteran Sanchez here. Twins with a couple of hits and a run in the third. 3 hits and so far 2 runs here in the 7th. And another 2-strike foul.
Good at bat for Schaefer right off the end of the bat.
Nunez and Escobar with big hits to start the 7th inning here against Sanchez.
This will be pitch number 24 this inning for Sanchez.
Seems like half of them have been to Schaefer. A nice long battle here. He's taken ball 2 with 2 strikes. He's flipped about 5 or 6 pitches off. Foul balls with 2 strikes. And he gets on it struck out on a pitch down and in. 2 away. Second strikeout of the inning.
Sanchez picks up a 6th strikeout. Good battle right there by Schaefer, but went for that ball down and in and swung through it.
Santana's backed up a 3-hit game last night with 2 hits again here today. He drilled an RBI single right over the back of Sanchez in the 3rd. Then he lined one to right field, and that was the play that Arcia resulted in Arcia being thrown out by plenty at the plate. Hits last night. We'll see if Santana can tack on a 3rd hit here tonight. We talk about Santana's struggles, and I don't think anyone would say that it's been anything other than a struggle for Santana. Right now, he's hitting .250, and that's 20 points over the team average. The problems are elsewhere as well. 2 strikes and chopped foul. Been a long inning for Anibal Sanchez.
Well, 28 so far this inning, where the most he uses in the 5th was 16. Trying to get the final out here in the 7th inning.
Very high and away. Pelfrey's longest inning was the 4th when he threw 30 pitches. Sanchez having that type of inning here in the 7th. And now outside 2-2. For Santana, and a great at bat. Suzuki on his way to 3rd. Fell behind 0-2, battled, and he's responded from his benching with back-to-back 3-hit games.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. Sanchez agreed, then shook his head, and then said yes. And if I'm a hitter, I'm going to guess fastball, and he got that fastball. Good solid swing by Santana. Good night at the plate.
Ooh.
Right off the tip of the glove of the leaping Kinsler. And Suzuki scoots over to third with 2 outs.
2 hits for Suzuki, 2 hits for Arcia, 3 hits for Santana. See if Torrey can join the hit parade with the Twins' 10th hit tonight. Fly ball, right field. J.D. Martinez has it measured. Twins get 4 hits in the inning. A couple of runs to take a lead on the Tigers.
Welcome in another Central Division opponent Thursday with the Chicago White Sox coming to Target Field. We want you to join us here on Fox Sports North. It's Twins Live. Starts at 6:30 before a 4-game series kicks off between Chicago and Minnesota.
The Twins trying to win game 2 of this series, maybe win the series tomorrow. With Phil Hughes going on the mound. We'll take on the White Sox. RBI hits by Escobar and Suzuki. Now the Twins hand the ball game over to the bullpen and Casey Fiend.
Yeah, Casey Fiend coming in for the 8th time. He last worked on Sunday, 2 shutout innings in the 11-inning 4-2 win over the Mariners.
Shane Robinson's in the game in left field. Jose Iglesias leading things off against Casey Fiend. Belt high strike. It'll be Iglesias, Goes, and Kinsler. Swing and a miss.
That's that little cutter that Casey has. Big sweeping like a fastball, and it just drifts away from a right-handed hitter.
Shane Robinson in for defensive purposes. Fly ball short right field. Hunter hardly has to move. 1 down.
Well, tonight's starter Mike Pelfrey, 7 very, very good innings. 7 strikeouts, a couple walks. Used that split finger to pick up some strikeouts. Turn of a double play, that in the 3rd inning. So 2nd straight 7-inning performance by Pelfrey.
In particular, facing Cabrera and Martinez, a ground ball hit to Escobar, 2 down. Pelfrey had no trouble at all with Cabrera and Victor Martinez. Gave up the 1 double to J.D. Martinez, but struck him out in the other at-bats. Two down here in the 8th.
They only gave up 3 hits. Threw 109 pitches, 69 for strikes. So very, very good strike to ball ratio.
Ian Kinsler will bat. Fiend's only thrown 4 pitches. He's gotten 2 outs. Fox Tracks presented by Carrier. Outside, ball 1. And now 2-0. Swing and a foul right off the mask of Suzuki, and the bat came out of Kinsler's hand, and the bat may have hit Suzuki. The bat or the ball, something made his night a little miserable.
Kinsler tried to tie this game up right there. Good solid swing.
It's just the foul ball, thankfully.
Yes.
Easy for us to say. I've never taken a foul ball in the mask. Have you?
In Little League.
Did you really?
Yeah. It's a catcher before a pitcher.
Well, now suddenly a lot of things are made very clear.
And we didn't have masks back then.
2-1 to Kinsler. Three and 1. Casey Fiend does not want to face Miguel Cabrera with a man on base. Most of you at home don't want Casey Fiend to face Miguel Cabrera with a man
at home.
home.
Don't want to face Miguel Cabrera.
Fly ball center field. Schaefer calling for it. A really good inning for Casey Fiend, setting the Tigers down 1-2-3.
Directly after the game, it's Twins Live, presented by CenturyLink. We'll break down another solid performance on the mound by Mike Pelfrey. We'll show you how Danny Santana stayed hot at the top of the order tonight. We'll put you inside the Twins clubhouse. We'll hear from Paul Molitor reacting to what might be the Twins' first win of the year against the Detroit Tigers, boys.
Oh, yeah, hope so, Kevin. Thank you very much.
Joe Mauer will face left-hander Blaine Hardy.
Hardy coming in, making his 6th relief appearance. He started down in AAA Toledo, got called up when Joe Nathan was put on a disabled list. Been hit around a little bit. 6 earned runs in 7 1/3 innings. 5 walks, 3 strikeouts.
Mauer 2 for 4 against him. And Avila spins out of the way, catching ball 1. conversation with Mauer, or Mauer might be saying, or at least thinking, boy, I'm glad I'm not catching anymore. Two and 0. Joe 0 for 3, a bouncer to second, a strikeout in the fourth, and a foul fly to left. Cespedes made a really nice catch, running out of foul ground. Hook foul between Davis and the line. Power hasn't come yet. Everyone is assuming, certainly hoping that it will. One thing we have seen, when the pitch is in there, Joe is able to get to it and hit it hard. Tampa right side. Cabrera sprawls, gets to his feet, and Mauer out by a quarter step. Eventually, they got the job done. A little bit tougher for the left-hander to get over to the bag, but he got there just ahead of the runner.
Yeah, Cabrera, you know, you want your first baseman to get to his right. Kent Hrbek, one of the best at that. Cabrera kind of almost stumbled right here as he got that ball. Gets up, and right at the last second feeds it over to Hardy. Stepped on the bag before Joe could.
Hardy brought in to face Mauer only. Another pitching change for the Tigers. Against Al Albuquerque, who's been a little under the weather for the Tigers.
His numbers show it. 8 earned runs in 6 1/3 innings, 6 walks, 5 strikeouts. Albuquerque in his 5th season with the Tigers in that bullpen. A lot of breaking balls, a lot of sliders.
His velocity has been down this year. Tigers don't know exactly why, but that helps explain the inflated numbers he's carrying into this game. Half swing, strike 2, another breaking pitch. Twins haven't gotten anything from their 3 and 4 batters. For that matter, neither have the Tigers. See if Plouffe can change that with 1 out here in the 8th. 2-1. Plouffe and then Nunez.
Albuquerque, 28 years old, from the Dominican Republic.
That's to left center field. And that's down for a hit. Plouffe will round first and hold up with a single. And before Nunez comes to the plate, let's get caught up.
Well, the Tigers are on the board their first in the 3rd inning. Goes with a base hit. Cespedes makes it a 2-1 ball game with a double that scored J.D. Martinez. Twins came back, though. Eduardo Escobar with a RBI double that scored Nunez from first base, and then 2 batters later, Kurt Suzuki drove him in. And Mike Pelfrey, 7 very good innings, only 3 hits allowed, 1 earned run with the 7 strikeouts.
Here is Nunez. Ball 1. Nunez started the 4-hit, 2-run 7th inning with a leadoff single. Two and 0. High, and it's 3-0. Escobar would hit next. Tigers 11-2 against the American League Central. Lost 1 game to the White Sox, 1 game to the Indians. There's a strike. Nunez was on his way to first.
They came into this ball game 8-5 at home in Comerica Park, 6-1 on the road.
Only road loss in Pittsburgh. Game that Sanchez started and lost. Plouffe goes, and it's ball 4. Chance for the Twins to pan the lead now. First and second, 1 down for Escobar. Tonight after the postgame show, Fox Sports Live will get you caught up on a full night of NHL and NBA playoff action, plus highlights on tonight's MLB games. You can see Fox Sports Live tonight on Fox Sports 1, or see it simulcast right here on Fox Sports North at 11 p.m. Jeff Jones to the mound. McCurkey off to a real slow start this year.
He had a very solid year last year, 72 relief appearances. 63 strikeouts in 57 innings pitched, only allowed 46 hits.
But he did not pitch. He was on the roster. He did not pitch in the playoffs against the Orioles. Usually when we've seen him, when he's been effective, he's got a wipeout slider. And the Tigers, in losing to the Orioles, never used him. Inside ball 1.
Well, there's that slider right there that he missed down and in, falling behind again.
But isn't the key to an effective slider having a good fastball that makes the hitter respect the velocity? And so if you've lost a little bit off your fastball, that is going to have a terrible effect on your slider. 1-1. Escobar with the only extra base hit for the Twins here tonight, a double off the fence in right that tied the game at 2. Way out in front, and it's 1-2.
That's a slider right there.
Barring a double play, Shane Robinson will hit in what was Arcia's spot. Doubles last year, and his double in the 7th, just his 2nd of the season. That's to the backstop. And a throw to third, nearly got Plouffe. Both runners move up. Avila played the carom beautifully and threw to third and nearly got Trevor Plouffe.
Yeah, there's that sign behind there, but there's also that limestone. If it hits that limestone, it'll come bouncing back right behind Avila. Watch this ball hit the limestone, comes right back to him, and Avila alertly throws to third base. And a good thing Trevor Plouffe was hustling down the line.
Now the infield is in with the runners advancing. 2-2. A wild pitch will be charged, but that ball should have been blocked by Avila. Right to Kinsler. Plouffe coming home, and now he'll try to hang up in a rundown here.
All the way back.
And Escobar can't advance to second base. So first and third, 2 down. Barstool.com trivia question. Brad Ausmus, one of the guys. Maybe Ralph Auk, Billy Martin, Mayo Smith,
Jim Leland.
Jim Leland. Wow.
2006.
Leland still revered in Detroit, stepping away from the Tigers and his potential Hall of Fame managerial career after the 2013 season. First and third, and we'll see if Robinson can tack on a run of insurance here. Tap foul, 1 strike. Robinson entered the game defensively for Arcia at the top of this inning.
Yeah, Robinson 11 hits in 33 at-bats. He's driven in 5 runs.
Perkins has warmed up. Will be ready to face Cabrera, Martinez, and Martinez. Big at bat here for Shane Robinson. Strike 2. Two strikes to Robinson. Escobar running to second, but it's a foul ball. He'll retreat to first. Robinson 5 runs batted in his 33 at bats.
Just got a piece of that slider. See if they go inside. We're going to go back to the. Avila sat away, but the ball was up and in.
One and two. Escobar goes. Checked his swing. 2 and 2. And now Escobar with a stolen base advancing into scoring position.
Escobar getting his first stolen base of the year. And for the Twins, only their 6th. Robinson able to hold up.
Tapper foul on his slider and was able to make contact.
He hung that slider too.
Two and 2 to Shane Robinson. Another foul. Hitters have battled with 2 strikes in this game. First against Sanchez, Jordan Schaefer, Danny Santana, fouling off a lot of 2-strike pitches, and now Shane Robinson. Up high, 3 and 2. Suzuki on deck. Third pitch for Albuquerque. Robinson to left field. Cespedes retreats to end the inning. It's a 1-run lead for Glenn Perkins. as the Twins hope to beat the Tigers for the first time this year.
Out as there is out there in the league right now.
Love to have fun.
When you're facing a guy like that, bend but don't break.
He makes adjustments pitch to pitch, probably as good as anybody I've faced.
Top 3 hitters, best hitters in the league in every single category you can think of.
It's an at-bat that's fun to have, though, because you know it's going to be a battle.
And for you at home, I suspect your enjoyment of the at-bat will depend on its outcome. It'll be Cabrera right out of the chute facing Glenn Perkins.
Yeah, Perk making his 10th relief appearance, 5 for 5 in save opportunities. He picked up his 5th save in the 11th inning, 4-2 win over Seattle on Sunday.
7 hits, 23 at bats. That's Cabrera's success rate, a batting average of just over 300 against Perkins. Then Victor Martinez and J.D. Martinez. Fastball's up. See, Victor Martinez has had a lot of success, and remember this too, Martinez a much better hitter as a right-handed batter than left-handed batter. He'll be hitting right-handed against Perkins. A belt high strike, 1-1. Pelfrey was brilliant tonight against Cabrera and Victor Martinez, 0 for 6. Up high, 3 fastballs up, one of them at the belt for a strike. Fouled away at 94 miles per hour. Another fastball. We've yet to see the slider.
It is fun to watch a battle like this. Suzuki sitting inside.
To center. One away. Nothing but fastballs to Miguel Cabrera, and ended up getting him on a pretty well hit ball to center field.
Glenn Perkins comes in. He's been ready. He's high fastball for ball 1. And Cabrera taking a pitch almost like he's trying to time that fastball. Fouled off that one. Fouled off one more. And then Perk stayed with that fastball, and Cabrera makes the out to center.
Martinez 0 for 3 is a left-handed batter against Mike Pelfrey. From this side of the plate, Victor Martinez has 13 hits. Excuse me, 7 hits. 6 hits in 14 at bats. 5 singles and a double. 1 strike. Popped up. Mauer chasing it, but it's out of play.
Yeah, that was the first breaking ball Perkins threw. Well, quite a difference between lefties and righties for Victor Martinez.
The injured knee is his left knee, and as a left-handed batter, that's his back leg, and that's a very troublesome situation to have an injury to your back leg as a hitter.
You see the pad that he wears there.
That's to left center field, hanging in the air for Robinson, 2 away. That'll bring up J.D. Martinez. Now for what's next, brought to you by CenturyLink. Day game tomorrow. Shane Green bottled up the Twins in Detroit. Phil Hughes looking for his first win of the year.
Let's get it tomorrow, Phil.
We are not televising the game. The Tigers are, and the MLB Network is going to carry their feed. So you will be able to find the game. Fly ball center field. And Perkins cuts through the middle of the Tiger lineup, and for the first time this year, the Twins have a win over Detroit.
Wow, well-pitched game. Mike Pelfrey, Casey Fiend, and then followed by Glenn Perkins picking up his 6th save.
Tom Hanneman, the Twins lost a tough ball game, a 1-run ball game last night, but tonight they came out on top in a 1-run game.
Dick, in their first 3 games against Detroit, the Tigers looked unbeatable, but tonight the Twins turned the tables with a 3-2 win coming up on Twins Live, presented by CenturyLink. We'll talk about Mike Pelfrey's solid start again. Danny Santana improves at the plate, and we'll hear from Molly.